This was so contagious.
The single funniest act, meaning if you wanted to put a laugh meter on an audience, was Martin and Lewis. By far, no act in my career have I ever seen get the kind of laugh that they both did.
In the fall of 1950, Dean and Jerry also became two of television's biggest stars with their monthly appearances as hosts of NBC's Colgate Comedy Hour. Scheduled opposite CBS's usually invincible Ed Sullivan, the duo beat Ed in the ratings every time they were on.
Hello. Hiya, here we are! Songs, dances, and funny patter.
That's fine, fellas, but we have nothing for teams.
We're not a team, we work together. We work together, get a load of this. Here we are, just you and I. Let the world hurry by.
The show's staff always looked forward to Dean and Jerry's appearances. The rehearsals were wilder than the shows themselves. Dean quickly became everybody's favorite of the pair.
I never saw any temperament come from Dean. Very relaxed, and he made everybody else feel relaxed. Dean also was the funnier of the two. Funnier in the sense that Dean came up with wonderful, wonderful lines all the time.
This is all of it, huh? You didn't leave nothing, none of this is in the locker. This is the whole thing.
This is everything. There's no more.
Good, go on.
But I wanted you should build up my body like those other fellas. Rule 'em.
Well, you get your health back. We'll see what we can do.
By 1952, Martin and Lewis were the hottest act in show business. Their personal appearance tours broke attendance records all over the country. Wherever they went, it was pandemonium.
We played the Paramount Theater here, seated 4,000 people. And there were 75,000 people around the block.
And you bought a ticket for 75 cents, which was a lot of money in those days, and you went inside, you saw a movie, and then Dean, Martin, and Jerry Lewis did a show for a half an hour. They screamed at them. The audience would go from the theater to 43rd Street, and there was a window that you could look up, and there was their window. They would open the window, and they would shout at the crowd, and they would throw programs out or pictures, and there was no traffic. There was just people, boom, there, like it was New Year's Eve.
Same thing happened at the Chicago Theater. When we played there the next week, we played 9 shows a day, 63 shows in the week. We did 175 shows in 21 days.
For all the team's success, Dean was beginning to feel frustrated playing straight man to the wildest, zaniest comedian in show business. As he seemed to have less and less to do in their movies and TV shows, the talk in the industry was that Dean would be nowhere without Jerry. Jerry himself knew better.
He was the spine of what was Martin and Lewis, though Jerry got all of the accolades.
Get off the stage! All right, drop it, Barney, drop it! Now, you apologize to me and make it quick, because if I walk off the stage without an apology, you're going to suffer the consequences. I'll take the consequences. Oh, yeah? Yeah.
With rumors that all was not well behind the scenes, Dean and Jerry's on-the-air kidding around now seemed to have an edge to it. The strain really came to the surface when Dean had his first big hit record with That's Amore in 1953. Even then, when Dean was doing what he did best, singing, Jerry upstaged him.
When the moon hits your eye like a big bit of fire, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore.
The people around Dean began saying that without Jerry, he could be another Perry Como. At the same time, Jerry's entourage was telling him that he could be another Chaplin if Dean was out of the picture.
Look now, Sue! Go ahead, sing now! You can't find it! Go ahead, sing! Sing! Sing now! Sing! Go ahead, sing now!
Dean wanted to concentrate on his singing career and to try his hand at dramatic acting. Jerry himself wanted to direct, write, and produce. The act was holding them back. By the spring of 1956, Dean had had enough.
Well, I just quit. I told him, this is it. I'm through. No more of this stuff. And of course, there was a big meeting with all the heads of Paramount Studios. And they said, you can't walk out on $20, $30 million. I said, well, you just watch me. And I walked out, that's all.
When Dean and I split, we angered this country. He didn't know if he'd have an audience. I didn't know if I'd have one.
On July 25th, 1956, 10 years to the day after they officially teamed up, Dean and Jerry gave their last performance together at the Copacabana in New York.
And there was everybody in show business in that Copa that night, watching the death of this magic. I don't know how I got through that. I don't know how he got through it. And I went up to my suite, Dean went up to his, and I called him on the phone. I said, thanks for a great ride, and I love you. And he said, I love you back. It was a great ride. And we hung up. We didn't talk for 20 years.
Practically everybody in show business figured that Jerry couldn't miss on his own. As for Dean, they were giving odds his career would be finished within a year. For a while, it looked like everybody was right. With the breakup of Martin and Lewis, 1957 marked the first time in more than 10 years that Dean Martin was on his own. His first solo film, 10,000 Bedrooms, wasn't doing well at the box office. But then he got his musical career back on track with a nightclub engagement at the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas. He had an idea for a character he could play, himself. He knew he looked like a guy who enjoyed the good life, and he decided to make the most of it.
And here he is for your enjoyment, direct from the bar, Dean Martin.
Once Dean had reestablished himself as a singer, he turned his attention to resuming his movie career. Out of the blue came an offer to co-star in The Young Lions with the two biggest actors of the 50s, Marlon Brando and Montgomery Clift.
My manager called and said, would you mind working with Marlon Brando and Montgomery Clift? I said, are you drunk? Would I mind? I said, I'd love it.
With his performance in The Young Lions as a New York playboy turned soldier, Dean established himself as a film star in his own right. After the success of The Young Lions, he landed a part in Some Came Running, co-starring with his old friend, Frank Sinatra.
They needed somebody in Some Came Running who was supposed to drink a lot and gamble and go with women. That is, well, don't go any farther. My dearest friend, Dean Martin, that was made for him. And I think that role was made for me because that was one of the best roles that I've ever done.
I learned a little while back that certain conditions bring a gambler luck, you know? And, oh, thank you. And this here hat's one of them. You know, every time I take this hat off, something bad happens to me.
After Some Came Running, Frank and Dean became even closer. The chemistry was different than it had been between Dean and Jerry, but it was just as unique.
You know, ever since you give up drinking, you've been impossible.